Hey everybody, I'm Melissa Thomas from C2C Stamping and welcome to my catalog launch video. I'm so excited to be participating. I really love all of the demonstrators on Crafty Collaborations and I'm excited to show you the Covered in Sunshine stamp set. This is a red rubber stamp set that is available as a standalone stamp set. So that means there's no dies or anything to coordinate with it, but it has some really great sentiments. I just can't tell you what a gift it is to call you my friend. May the dreams you hold dearest come true and the kindness that you share come back to you. And may the road ahead of you be brighter than the one behind, lined with wildflowers and covered in sunshine. So I've got a fun idea for this one. So this is actually, I'm gonna use this later in the week with my demonstrator friends. We're doing a shoebox swap. And so we're actually gonna make this one later in the week. So if you wanna tune in to C2C Stamping, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll be posting this card later this weekend. I think this one's really cool. It coordinates with some other die shapes that we have, some hexagons. And then this one, the minute I saw it, I knew I wanted to do a watercolor rainbow. So that's what I did. So here's what the card is, and I'm gonna give you some measurements and some steps along the way. But it's a fun fold. Unfortunately, the way that this one came together, because of the big puffy clouds, I can't get it to come flat. It's gonna take a little bit of a larger card or envelope. So you'll have to mail it in a larger envelope. But I think it's so cool that I'm pretty sure none of us are gonna care. So, all right, so let me show you how to construct the base and then we'll do the watercolor pieces. And then the clouds are actually punched from a new paper that we have. I'll show you that. So the clouds are punched from a paper called, it's textured 12 by 12 shimmer paper. And they have it in, you get 2 sheets each of balmy blue, shaded spruce, and white. So this is the white, and I liked it because it had kind of a sheen to it and it's got that texture. Let me show you the other 2 colors. So there's the balmy blue, which is really nice. And then there you can see that shaded spruce is really beautiful. So you've definitely got some nice color options in this paper, and I'm sure you're gonna do lots of wonderful things with it. But we're gonna need 3 clouds. I'm gonna try to cut them so that the lines are relatively straight. I want the lines going left and right, horizontal. So I'm gonna tear away a little bit of this to get to my paper. Normally I would just go on the side, but we don't want to do that because I want the lines to go a certain way. All right, and it is shimmery back and front, so just FYI. And then the other paper that I'm using is actually this fun wave paper, and this is the Hostess pack of paper that's available in the spring catalog. It's called Flowers and More 12 by 12 Host Designer Series paper. It coordinates with a lot of really beautiful colors. It has a ton of really fun florals. So the A side is all florals, and then the B side is graphics. So like fun patterns. So you've got lots of different prints. And I think they're gonna really carry us from spring into summer because there's a lot of really fun, bright colors in here. You can get that paper as a hostess benefit when your order reaches $150 in the United States. And it is $18, but it's for 48 sheets of 12 by 12 paper, which is crazy lot of paper. So you're gonna have a ton of fun with it. All right. So let's take a look at the pieces that we need to make our card. I'm gonna leave our card kind of over there. So the card base is a standard size card base in the United States, and it is 8.5 by 5.5. And then it's scored at 4 1/4, 5.5, 6 3/4, and 8. Don't pay attention to the score line here. 8. So what that does is it gives you a fold in half, right? And then we're gonna use those creases to make our kind of box, right? So you can kind of see the side of this. I'm gonna use Seal Plus to put this together because the Seal Plus is gonna give us a really good, you know, I could use tear and tape as well, right? But I like to use a really strong adhesive when I'm putting together anything that might end up having a lot of friction or traction on it. And I find it easiest just to kind of fold the 2 tabs down. So you're gonna go 1, 2, and then you're gonna have it, and then now you can kind of fold that back. And now we have our box, right? And we can get our bone folder in here, and we could bone fold one side and bone fold the other side. All right, so now we've got our box shape, right? So we're gonna put our 2 pieces of designer series paper on here. We're gonna make sure we're gonna put it on the top and the front. So I'm just gonna keep that folded down, and that'll help me to know where I'm gluing. And I'm just gonna run some seal. So I use Tombow for a lot of things, but I don't like to use it for when I adhere designer series paper to my projects, because I find that I can see like the bubbles or the wet glue. And I think that's because I don't probably smear it thin enough. So I'm gonna use a little bit of seal, and now we've got that built. Super. All right, and then the last piece to kind of build before we work on the front panel is just a back piece. So I cut a standard white insert piece to put on the back, and that's just to make it easy for someone to be able to write a note to whoever they're sending a card to. So we'll go ahead and, again, I'm kind of collapsing the card down to make it easier for me to put this where I need to put it. So there we go. Okay. Very nice. All right, so we've got the basic construction down. So now we're going to work on the little panel that goes on the front. So this is actually a piece of shimmery white cardstock, and it is 4 by 2 3/4. And then this is a piece of Orchid Oasis, and it's 4 1/4 by 3, right? So it's just gonna give us a nice mat. But I'm not going to mat it yet, because I need to wait until this is dried. It's nice and flat, right? And I'm gonna put water on here. So shimmery white cardstock is made to take some water. It's not watercolor paper, but it can definitely take a little bit of heat and a little bit of water, and it won't buckle or pill on you. So, and if it does buckle, we can always hit it with our heat gun on the reverse side. I'm gonna use our water painters. We have a small, medium, and a large. I'm gonna use the medium, but I'm actually gonna use like just a little cup of water over here on the side, because I have squeezed this before and had it like squeeze everywhere, and that's no fun. So I'm gonna move our clouds out of the way so they're safe. All right, so we have our stamp, and what we're gonna do is we're going to do emboss resist. So we're going to stamp this in Versamark, and we're gonna put white embossing powder on it. The reason I did white is if you do clear, it's fine. I just think it shows up better in white, like the resist part. And you can use lighter colors and still have a really vibrant sentiment. You need to be able to read the sentiment. So what we're gonna do is we're going to get our Versamark. This is a very nice new one. My other ones are trashed. All right, and we're going to, and before we put our image down, we're gonna make sure to use our embossing buddy. So we're gonna tap our little embossing buddy on our piece of paper. This will help so we don't get a bunch of stray stuff. And then I'm actually gonna stamp it relatively high because we need room for the clouds. So I'm gonna stamp right about here. And I like to hold it for a good second with the Versamark. It's sticky, and I want all that sticky to come, with it. And then I've got my white embossing powder. I just store them in little Tupperware type containers because I find that's easiest. And my grand strategy here is just to kind of, you know, move it around and hope the fan isn't on too strong. All right, and then I can see that I've got some stray, just some stray little stuff here. So I'm gonna bring my little brush in. This came in the embossing kit that we have now. It has the embossing buddy, and it has a tray, and then it has tweezers, and then it also has this nice little brush that you can use to kind of remove any kind of stray pieces you have, which is nice. And then I always like to just flick lightly on the back one time. All right, so we have our sentiment on there, and we're gonna heat emboss that. And I don't have the power of magical television, so I'm really going to heat emboss it. All right, so that's nice and heat embossed, and that looks great. And then in order to get a rainbow, what I did was I pulled in some colors that I knew I could kind of mix and make into a really nice rainbow. So we have Sweet Sorbet, Crushed Curry, Granny Apple Green, Starry Sky, and Gorgeous Grape. I use Starry Sky because Starry Sky and Orchid Oasis are the color in the DSP, and that's kind of where I got my inspiration for my color scheme. So that'll be good. All right, we're gonna move this out of the way. We're gonna open all these guys. Now I've already except for that one, we're gonna squish them so that we've got a little bit of ink in the lid. Doesn't have to be a ton. Okay. And gonna get our brush. And I like to start with the red, and I have a little paper towel nearby. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit of water, and I'm going to start here with the red. And then I'm gonna clean my brush in between because I'm not sure that I want a ton of color kind of bleeding between the colors. Now with this one, I actually do want a little bit of red because I'm gonna make orange. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get some yellow and get a little bit of orange in there too. And then get some green. Okay, and then we'll get some blue. And I'm just making a little arc. I'm kind of following the letters around. It might not be perfect, that's okay. You know, it's supposed to be organic. If this is something that bothers you and you feel like you need to, you know, add lines, you could always pencil some lines in to kind of guide you and follow you. I'm just using the lettering, you know, to kind of guide me. sure we can read, you know, the whole sentiment. And so we need to make sure we go all the way down. And then I might come back with a little bit more red, or I might, you know, decide to add a little bit here or there. And I dragged the green down there, but it's okay. It'll be fine. It'll still look cute when it's all dry. I definitely see that I don't have like a good arch over here, so I'm gonna kind of bring a little bit more of the purple, hopefully, over here. Now, one of the things you can do is you can overwork watercolors, and so you have to be really careful. I find that working fast and just kind of being happy with what you get the first time is usually the best idea. So then we can take our like paper towel, especially if it's clean, and we can kind of dab up. When it's dry, we can do that too. Okay, so if it's cold, then you know it's wet. I'm just gonna hit this with a heat gun really quick. And then, nice. All right. So one of the things I did when, you can kind of hit the back of it with a heat gun too if you want. But one of the things I did is I kept the sticker from this stamp because I wanted to, I think it went this way, yeah. I wanted to kind of almost create like a mask so that I could maybe hold this up and I could stamp the sun and it would mask it off. But on my sample, you might have noticed I caught the corner of the stamp. And so one of the things I've learned is that you can cut your stamp. I know, many believe this to be, you know, sacrilegious, but I am all about it because I don't want to cut, I don't want to hit the edge of my stamp. And so I'll just use my snips and I'll come in here and I might cut off some of the edge a little bit. All right. And my Mango Melody, I'm using Mango Melody for the sun. It's pretty, you know, it's pretty juicy. Now, one of the things you'll want to do when you store these is if you have a lot of water, you might want to dab it up. But if you don't have a ton of water, you know, and you think that it's fine, you know, that water isn't going anywhere. It's just, you know, reserved in there. So I'm fine. I leave these like this. You know, you can tell I definitely use some of these a lot more than others. All right, and then we've got our Mango Melody, and we're gonna use this to kind of block a little bit so that we can stamp our sun. And I'm gonna check it this time just to make sure that I don't catch any edges, right? Because I don't want any edges on this one. And there we go, we've got our sun. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit of water, like a little bit, and I'm just gonna try to pull that color out. And I'm not gonna do much, but I am gonna try to pull a little bit. All right, so there we go. So we've got a nice little sun peeking out, and we've got, and I'm just gonna keep this. It wipes right off. Those stickers on the back of the stamps, like they're like plastic, and so I can keep that as a little, as a piece. All right, so now we're going to close up our ink and we're gonna finish putting our card together. So we're gonna use, I'm gonna use Seal Plus. That might seem crazy, but whenever you have watercolor or water that's been added, sometimes you get ripples and seams or you get little bumps, and I like my projects to be nice and flat. So I'm gonna use Seal Plus, which means there's no going back, right? And that's okay. All right, there we go. Pull in our other card, our sample card, and I'll put all the colors here so you can see all the pretty colors we used. And we've got our, forget that. Huh, I forgot this. Okay, the other thing I used on the back panel was the Into the Clouds embossing folder. It's just a regular embossing folder, so it's not a 3D or anything like that. I like the line because it helps me kind of get my clouds lined up. So I ran that through my Big Boss, and I'm going to adhere this to the back. So let me do that. We can just use some seal for that. And I'm gonna, again, press this down so I can see where I'm actually putting this. Make sure I've centered it. Nice. So we've got some nice cloud action in the background. We've got our panel. And then we've got, so see, even if I mounted it right flush to the bottom, then it would be able to fit into a standard envelope. But if I do that, I won't be able to fit, I don't think I'll be able to fit all my clouds the way I want to. Now I could trim my clouds, and that's definitely a possibility. I could just cut the bottom of them. And so I might do that for this one, just so that we make sure it fits. So I'll show you kind of how I would do that. So with the clouds, I was trying to fit the clouds in a way, I thought, well, you know, I could do one here and I could do one here, and then maybe kind of tuck one, you know, maybe this goes like this. So I'm going to, this one I'm going to glue flat. The seal does not like this paper. It's okay. All right, so I'm gonna kind of tuck this one here. And then this one I'm gonna pop up on dimensionals, and I think we're getting close to being down to edges. So let's get our scissors in here, our snips. We'll cut some edges. Someone at a recent craft event threw away their edges, so I dug in the trash for them. I'm like, what are you doing? That's crazy. All right, good. I think we got that. It's a little bit dimensional there, but that's okay. And then we're gonna put this one up on dimensionals. All right. There we go. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it over, and I'm actually just gonna cut straight across the bottom, because I don't care as much about the sides, but I do care about the bottom, because I'm actually gonna have it meet the bottom of the card so it can fit. So I'm gonna cut the bottom pieces. And so now when we mount this, then it'll be able to fit into a standard envelope. So I'm gonna do some Seal Plus on the bottom. Again, that's Seal. Again, because I want this to stay on my card, and I don't want this to go anywhere, so I'm gonna mount it with some serious glue. And then with this one, I'm probably actually gonna fold all the way down. Yeah, I think we got that pretty straight. That looks pretty good. That's super cute. Super sweet card. Would be great to get this in the mail. I think it's super cheerful. This whole set is really cheerful, and I like how it coordinates with other things that we have in the catalog, different dies and shapes that we have. And so, you know, the sun, the little stars, these are great. You could stamp some of these on the envelope too and make it a really lovely card. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I'm Melissa Thomas from C2C Stamping. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, come follow me on Instagram or Facebook. And if you like my stamping style, I appreciate you guys coming and watching all the videos today. And I do have a hostess code for the month that will be posted. So if you're interested in that, I participate in the tutorial bundle that a lot of us do for crafty collaborations, and the January tutorial bundle is really nice. Has 36 different projects from different demonstrators, and we're just really excited and glad you're here, and welcome to everyone from all across the globe. All right, thanks y'all. Have a wonderful weekend and happy new catalog. Bye-bye.